Tim Kennedy, America's most famous Green Beret, has come under fire for accusations of stolen valor. Now, while I wasn't a Green Beret, I was an Army interrogator in a Special Forces unit, so I can use the skills I've acquired to figure out whether he is or is not lying.
They did this to keep veterans accountable, and to hold a standard. Right after that, dropped one of their ads for one of their 6 major sponsors, and as it played, wow, I'm sure it has nothing to do with why they're targeting me, but on my episode, their numbers were way up. They do financially better when they go after people with big followings.
Okay, cool. They're motivated by money, but you're not addressing the points they're making. Did you or did you not lie? Let me use a skit to make my point very clear. Did you have sex with a dog? Man, you're just jealous and trying to use my name for clout. My dude, it's a yes or no question. You're just trying to use my name to make money, aren't you? He's avoiding the topic and poisoning the well, which makes me think he's lying.
I want you to know that I knew this podcast was coming out. How? Because they contacted every single one of my teammates to try to get dirt on me.
Okay, so you're mad about due diligence? You're mad about them fact-checking your stories or attempting to corroborate or validate your stories? If someone doubted my war stories, the first thing I would do is call Kevin. What's up, Kevin?
What's up, dude?
Hey, got a question for you.
What's up?
How did we meet?
Am I supposed to say the legal way or the
real
the
story.
actual way? Oh, the real story? Okay. Well, we met on my second deployment. I don't remember what deployment you were on. And I used to sell, well, whatever you wanted, because transportation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's how we met.
And so if someone has been in the Army and they deployed and they have some type of crazy war story that people may not believe, how easy is it for someone to reach out and get someone to back up their story and validate it?
It depends on how much they want to tell about the story, but yeah, I mean, duh.
It's pretty easy. I was the unofficial official best man at his wedding, and I made a video about that. I'll link below. But then I would probably call Mike. So, Mike, how did we meet?
In the military?
In 2010 in Iraq. We were deployed together, right?
Yeah. We shared a room too, I think. So.
Yeah, and underwear. And so if I had a crazy war story that you were there for, how easy would it be for me to reach out to you and validate my story?
Very easy.
Very easy. That's all I needed, Mike. Thank you, buddy.
All right. Take care.
Bye. And if for some reason that wasn't enough, I would call Val. Okay, so Val, this is definitely the first time I'm recording this and didn't screw it up the first time. How do we know each other?
I know you. I first met you in Afghanistan. I think it was fall of 07 or January of 08.
Yeah, it was towards the end of 07 because you guys had already been deployed for 7 or 8 months. And then I got assigned to the unit and immediately joined you guys. Do you remember what my first mission was in Afghanistan? Side note, sometimes I make fun of women in the military, but Val is proof alone that women do belong in the military. She is a certified badass. One of the few leaders I had in the Army that I still keep in contact to this day. I'll show the rest of our convo later in the video. But see how easy that was, Timmy? If people were calling your war stories fake, it would be super easy to call someone who was there with you to back up your story. And no, your friend siding with you alone isn't proof enough that your war stories are true. But you can't find at least one person to back up your stories on camera? Methinks Timmy was unpopular.
I'm an Iraq and Afghanistan combat veteran, and I didn't see anyone from the podcast in any of those places.
Imagine if someone told you they took a vacation to America and the entire time they drove on the left-hand side of the road. You don't have to be on vacation with them to know that they're lying. Okay, yeah, they weren't on that deployment with you, but the people calling you out, they are also Green Berets. They have deployed to the same countries on the same missions during the same times for the same war in the same unit.
War stories are never the same. And ask anyone who's been to combat or review board what happens when you interview 5 guys in the same battle. You're gonna get 5 different stories.
No, that's just not true whatsoever. The majority of everyone's story will be similar. It would be basically the same. You would know how many people were killed. You would know how many trucks there were. Tim said there's 80. Everyone else and the official story says there was 200. That's too big of a difference. Now, if you said there's probably 180 trucks, sure, close enough. But 80 instead of 200? Whoa. Stories with slight differences tend to be people telling the truth. Stories with major differences tend to be people who are lying.
And not everything, because they went off for 3 hours about all of the things that I have done wrong and all of the inaccuracies.
Who cares that the Anti-Hero podcast did a 3-hour episode on you? That's what we in the business call a bad sign. We're 3 minutes into your video and you haven't addressed any of the criticisms they've levied.
Did I fail sniper school? You know, and this is the intellectually dishonest thing, where, and super hypocritical, because they're taking things out of context. Yes, I did fail sniper school. You could say that. What happened is, when I got my sniper school date, it was going to be 10 days before my own wedding.
Sniper school is 7 weeks, his wedding was in 10 days. Okay, cool, makes sense. Go to your wedding.
Show up and you're gonna have to fail. So I went 0 for 25 for the Special Forces Sniper School shoot-in.
But 0 for 25 sounds ridiculous. Now look at his left hand.
So I went 0 for 25.
Usually when someone is lying, their body language is out of sync with their words. Yes, I do have a big dick. It's the biggest in the world. You intuitively know this whether you realize it or not. As he says 0, his hand makes a O shape.
So I went 0 for 25.
He's either telling the truth or he believes his own lies. Lie detection is more of an art than a science. I wonder if his body language will come back to bite him in the ass later.
When it lies, the human body exhibits many telltale signs.
You may have heard that if someone looks down and to the left, they're lying. That's not quite true. What you want to look for is changes in body language. I went back and looked at a bunch of podcasts from months and years ago, long before this controversy ever came out. And you will see that he looks down and to the left when he's talking about a gym he opened. He looks down and to his left when he's talking about his kids. Or he looks down and to the left when he's talking about UFC fights he won. Things that are verifiably true. So for Tim Kennedy, looking down and to the left is not an automatic sign that he's lying. But it's natural for any human to look left and right while they're telling a true story. So you need more, such as an unnatural break in your speech pattern.
Things have changed in the career since then. But one of the things that wasn't on that DD-214 is a Purple Heart.
Touching your face or scratching your nose doesn't always mean you're lying. Touching your face or scratching your nose while you're telling a story could mean you're lying.
By the grace of God and by the heroes to my left and to my right, like they're 100% the heroes in all of this.
Most humans are uncomfortable with telling a lie, so they will do some type of body soothing motion to ease the stress of them telling a lie. When I tell people how big my dick is, it makes them uncomfortable because it's so large. It's like, it's so big. Like rubbing your leg or touching your face. So when someone who usually looks to the left instead looks to the right,
an anticipation for a big fight, which we were in,
has an unnatural break in their speech pattern, and conveniently scratches their nose, methinks they're lying.
Well, Jim may be lying with his words, but he can't lie with his body.
In the book, he tells a story about packing 50 grenades, and it seems ridiculous. Side note, here's a picture with me with a bunch of grenades on my chest. I just took that picture to look cool.
Another thing in the book, when I packed a bag, when we knew we were going to get ambushed, when we were leaving Firebase Anaconda, I told Nick that I packed these speed bags full of grenades and magazines. And Nick was like, how many did you put in there? I was like, I don't know, like a gazillion, as many as I could fit in there. And I don't know exactly how many grenades that you could fit into a bag. Maybe it is 50.
But Tim, if you were unsure of how many grenades you had, why didn't you just do what you were already doing in your book?
For the rest of the night, we are in a non-stop gunfight. I have no idea how many times I reload my rifle. I have no idea how many times I refreshed all of my mags from the go bags I pre-packed before the mission. I have no idea how many men we killed that night. I just didn't have time to think about it.
See how easy that is? Now, this has happened a lot. Combat veterans quite often will embellish their war stories.
Guess what, man? You don't have to prove anything. We like you.
And I have a theory as to why. For Tim specifically, it's brain damage. He probably has brain damage. When I first went to war, it was not what I was expecting. Growing up on World War II movies and Vietnam movies, you think it's gonna be way more exciting. Don't get me wrong, it is exciting, it is dangerous, but it was just way more boring, and I did way less cool army stuff than I thought I was gonna do in Afghanistan. In Iraq, I basically did no cool army stuff. So sometimes combat veterans have this picture in their head what war is going to be like, and they think civilians are also going to have that same image in their head. So when they come back, they may embellish it so that they sound like the movies. I'm not really sure. But yeah, Tim Kennedy is a fucking liar. And if Tim somehow ever sees this video,
I'd go to hell, I'm taller than you!
anytime I show my old dress uniform in a video, people always call stolen valor on me because I'm missing a lapel pin here. This isn't spaced correctly. This is cockeyed. I have the WLC ribbon, but E4 rank. It's for one of two reasons. Either it could just be a uniform I haven't worn in 15 years, so I haven't kept up with it, or the more likely reasonable explanation is I beat up a homeless man and stole it off him, and I was never actually in the army. Here's some more of the conversation I had with Val earlier. I'm sure some people will find that interesting.
I remember you going out to probably checkpoint Delta, because it was one of those up there with the blue platoon, and all I need you to do is talk to people as they were coming in and screen them, get some background information, see what's going on in the neighborhood, if you will.
And how would you describe me at that time?
It was, really great. You had no idea what you were doing.
Incompetence, the word.
I think it's like, what's the quote from Home Alone? Kevin, you're what the French call les incompetents.
Yeah, pretty much. And you, in response to me being bad at my job when I first got to Afghanistan, do you remember what you had me do?
Well, because you didn't collect any of the source data for any of the guys that you talked to, I had you go around and talk to pretty much every local on base. And I figured once you talk to them and you could figure out how to talk to them on base, you would have no problem once you went out trying to collect information from whoever was out there.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I remember towards the end of the deployment, there's this guy. I remember EOD joined our base at some point, and I started calling this local Afghan retrospectively years later, Afghan Bob, because his daughter almost got blown up by an IED. So he became radicalized against the Taliban, and he started bringing us a bunch of IEDs. And one time, they just on our door in our office shows up with a bunch of mortars, and I'm taking pictures and playing with them. And then randomly, EOD knocks on the door. We're like, hey, we haven't cleared those yet. Do you mind giving those to us?
Right. Which you would think if they let a guy on the base with mortars that they would actually screen him first, put those things aside, let EOD take a look at him, make sure everything was on the up and up. But that's not really how things worked.
I remember the first time he came to the base and he told us the story, and I just believed him wholesale. But I remember when he was going to bring IEDs to the base because the Taliban would sit in the mountains and watch the fob. I told the gate guard, "Hey, I'll search the truck in case this blows up. You're not going to be the person who gets killed." And it wasn't until I was in the back of his truck and like my nose was just a few inches from like the old mine that they were using for an IED. It's like, I don't know this guy. I should have done a better job. Hope this works out. And it did.
Luckily.
But yeah, the point of the video I'm trying to make here is that if someone is being accused of stolen valor, it'd be really easy just to call someone up and be like, hey, can you confirm these stories?
Yeah. Do you remember this one time? Yep. I remember this one time. Or no, but I remember this. I mean, I feel like it's way too easy these days.
Before you guys go, if anyone's still here, my last duty station was in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. The base is actually in Tennessee, but a small portion is on the Kentucky side of the border, and that's where the post office is, so it gets called Fort Campbell, Kentucky, even though you're going to spend your entire time on that base in Tennessee. But 5th Special Forces Group had its 50th anniversary from 21 September 1961 to 21 September 2011. And Jack Daniels did special whiskey bottles to celebrate the 50th anniversary of 5th Special Forces Group. I actually have 2 of these bottles, but for obvious reasons, I've already drank them, but I'm holding on to them for, I don't know, I'll put it on the mantle one day. I don't know. Like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget, communism is gay.
Not whining to the press like coward fucking faggot Tim Kennedy.